Hello to all our lovely listeners. Welcome back to Wake Up and Dream. So happy to have you here. And we actually have an amazing guest with us as well, Lauren Dieckmann. Before I introduce Lauren, Kelly unfortunately was not able to join us today. She's feeling a little bit under the weather, so we hope that she rests up and she'll be back for our next episode. But Lauren, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Super
Thank you
excited to
for
have
having
you.
me. Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you ladies.
Yeah, so Lauren Dieckmann, she has worn so many hats in her years. She's a former teacher, stay-at-home mom. She was network marketer, so she has such great experience across the board and can relate on such a great level with so many different moms and just women in today's world. And I really love that she has been able to wear all those hats to offer her unique perspective. So she went from all of those roles, and now she's a life and a mindset coach. We recently got certified together from our coach, Julie Ciardi. And it's just been an amazing ride. I got to meet Lauren in person in November, and she is just lovely. So, Lauren, I just want to turn it over to you, let you share a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are right now.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. Thank you again for having me. And I just want to say I love that you have us really share a little bit of our stories to kick things off because I think the really powerful thing in hearing so many stories from so many amazing women through the Wake Up and Dream podcast is that it creates that connection and that knowing that we're not alone, but taking it beyond that surface level of, that we often get into with our friends of more commiseration, but understanding that at that deeper level where we feel a little bit more alone and worried about our own struggles and knowing that other people are out there going through those same things. That camaraderie that this turns into is absolutely priceless. So I love that. And for myself, just telling you a little bit more about me and my story. I'm a boy mom. I have two boys. I'm married and I live in Missouri. And you kind of gave them a little bit of a snapshot of what my professional life has looked like somewhat. Um, but I think what stands out most for me in my story is I found myself, like so many other moms in my mid 30s, kind of having checked off all those things that society tells us, and we kind of hold it at a subconscious level of what it is we're supposed to be accomplishing in life. And I went to school and I figured out what I wanted to be an expert in, in teaching, and got my degree and I got a job and I got married, bought a house, started a family, did all those things, tick and tick, 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 tick off the list. And then at some point in my mid 30s, I kind of took a look around and was like, wait, what's next? Now, kind of asking myself that question, now what? But I didn't have any answers. And that felt really scary. My younger son was in preschool getting ready to go off to kindergarten, and that was kind of plaguing my mind of, once I don't have kids home with me anymore, what is my role? What's my identity? What's my contribution to my family even?
Wow.
And I had no answers for myself. And so I found myself just in this like desperate loop searching for me, searching for myself and what that was going to look like moving forward. And it wasn't until a really good friend of mine kind of figuratively took me by the shoulders and shook me and said, I need to introduce you to my life coach. And I was like, what's a life coach? Um, and, she introduced me to Julie Ciardi, our coach. And I was just blown away by what she had to say, and that knowing that there was so much potential for me still, even after I felt like I had accomplished what I was supposed to accomplish in life. And I'll be honest, I was really skeptical when I first started working with a coach, not about the coach, but about myself. I was really skeptical about my own ability to put into practice these amazing things that she was teaching me. Was I actually going to be able to do this? But in doing so much work on my mindset, I was able to face all these struggles and all these questions I had in a totally new way, which has absolutely changed and transformed my life for good, for forever, permanently. And it's just incredible.
Wow, Lauren, that is such a story that we can all relate with. I mean, Sarah and I are here nodding our heads going, yeah, that's my story. Like
That was
I
me too.
Yeah,
that's
it's so
so
common.
true.
Yeah.
Right. And whether you're in your 30s, your 40s, or your 50s, I think we get to a point and we wake up. We wake up to the train that we have just hopped on, that society has said, yep, do this next, then do this, and find your fulfillment as a mom, a wife, employee, climb the ladder, own your own home, plan those, picture perfect vacations. And in the midst of all of that, we lose ourselves. We lose, like, who am I just as a woman? Like, I remember asking myself that after joining direct sales. I'm like, I need to figure out who I am. Like, my kids didn't think I was funny because I was homeschooling them at the time. So I was, the little let's get this stuff done. And I went to my first party, one of my first parties, and it just was being me, and whatever I said, the table cracked up and was laughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I was funny. Like, we lose ourself. It's so crazy. So tell us, Lauren, because I totally get the whole idea of, kind of being scared to invest in yourself. Is it gonna, like, it's such a foreign concept of hiring a life coach or working with a life coach or becoming a life coach. What the heck is that, right? so
Right.
so tell us what struggles you went through, like, in even that decision to hire um your own life coach, as well as that internal struggle that you had. Am I going to be able to apply all of this and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. And you're so right. We are so willing to invest in so many things in our lives, but when it comes to investing in ourselves and in our minds, that's something that we as women really struggle with. And so this was not a decision that I took lightly, because I'd never made any kind of investment in myself in this way. And it's, even think back to all the education you've invested in for yourself. And that's kind of where you feel like that investment stops. And now you're investing in your kids and you're investing in your family. And so just making that decision was absolutely, a struggle for me. But what it came down to was that I had to take a pause and understand that this was the most important investment I would ever make for myself. That the results that I found through working with a life coach were absolutely priceless. And looking back, I would make that investment over and over and over again. But that's really hard to see when you're in the moment and making that investment, and taking that big step for the first time. And so it
And
really
I
was,
want to just kind of
yeah,
piggyback off of that, Lauren, because a lot of people are thinking, like, especially with January rolling around, the new year, a lot of people are making an investment in themselves in terms of their physical body, whether that be like their nutrition, they want to kind of, start focusing on and put that in the forefront, or they're, going to the gym, having a gym membership, and those types of investments. People are much more willing to jump at and go for versus investing in the work that you're doing with your mind, which runs everything. It's so much more important. And it's something that I did not recognize a couple of years back, that I was like, a coach is meant to work on your physical, whatever physical attributes you're thinking about right now, whether you're a soccer coach or whatever. But mindset coaching, life coaching, like, that is what is so, so important. And I feel that people need to realize how critical of an investment that is. So I just love everything that you just said about that.
yeah, and to your point, it's, we like to have that visible belief. And something like working on our physical wellness gives us some kind of a visual measurement, that we can see. It's a little more tangible. So when we think about like working on our mind, investing on working on our mind, that's like a harder concept for people to wrap their heads around. But you're absolutely right. I mean, this is the foundation for everything else you've done. And it's funny that you bring that up, because I mean, in doing this work, and my like fitness level, my weight was not a goal of mine, but even just in doing this work, I lost 14 pounds this year. And so I'm like, oh, this is
That's
working in
awesome.
so many areas of my life that
Well,
it's kind of mind blowing.
it is mind blowing, and let's just like sit here in this moment about like the weight loss, the fitness, the health, because tis the month of awareness on that aspect for sure. So think about this. Everybody hits the gym, they get the discount on their membership, they're hardcore, they're working out, they're doing all the do. Come February, that gym that you could not find an elliptical to save your life regardless of the day, right? In January, in February is completely empty. Like, you have a pick of the place, right? So we know we don't even have to have a fancy smancy education degree to know that habits
Mhm.
don't stick if it's just behavioral. And that's what I think. That was a belief that I kind of bought into because no one showed me differently, right? If you want fitness, you got to change your behavior. So you get a membership and you go to the gym. But if you don't engage and change your thoughts and beliefs around moving your body and exercising and eating healthy and all the things, it is a short term little experience that isn't going to ever have lasting legs that will be a life change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, when we can step into this mindset piece of it and use that, like, as I said, as the foundation for it all, and that supporting piece that helps you kind of connect the dots between all of the things that you want and the things that you need to do, and kind of closing that gap, because it's all about your attitude and your self perception, and like this personal pattern that we have in our thinking. And it's very unique for each person, what that's going to look like, but it's ingrained within us. And in some areas we may already have this pattern of thinking that serves us really well, and in other areas, whether it's our fitness, or being organized, or our finances, whatever it may be, even in our relationships, in our families, it may be an area where our pattern of thinking isn't serving us. And so really getting to the root of that and working on that underlying mindset, connecting it to what you truly want in life. And that may be the hardest part for some people, is just understanding what that is. Once you're able to go deeper into that, that's when you can really see the true transformation happen. That's what's so powerful.
So I wanna switch gears a little bit because you just brought up relationships, and I want to dive into that a little bit more about how, we can see just from how you're speaking how it's changed, individually. But we also recognize from the work we've done the ripple effect of other relationships, our families, friends, even. Friends coming up and saying, like, there's something different, what have you been doing? My children have largely benefited from the work that I've been doing. So I'm just curious if you have anything to add on that and how it's impacted you in different relationships.
Oh, absolutely. So that has actually been one of the biggest things I have worked on personally in my own mindset, my own growth, is who I am in my relationships with my kids, who I am in my relationship with my husband, how I'm showing up in those most important relationships to me, and allowing myself to step away from the expectation that I have of them in our relationships, and understanding what it is that I want that relationship to look like, what it is that I want from that relationship, and what I am willing to do, how I am willing to transform my thinking to support that and help me step into taking the actions that are necessary for me to have what I want. Because it's up to me. I'm the one who has the control over myself. I don't have control over other people. I don't have control over outside circumstances. It's just, I'm dealt what I'm dealt, but it's all up to me and my mindset and how I want to approach that, how I want life to go, how I want to show up in life. That has
Sure.
made a huge impact. I mean, I was a mom who yelled at her kids all the time. That was my release. And I was never one to yell prior to having kids. I was a teacher. I was like the soft-spoken teacher. People would always crack up. They'd say, if we heard Lauren's voice go up a little bit, we knew like something was crazy going on in there, because like I just wasn't part of my being. And as I stepped into motherhood and, grew our family, that started to become part of me, and I did not like it. And taking it beyond, I didn't like it because that doesn't even seem powerful enough. I hated that side of me. I hated that I yelled at my kids. But that's where I went in this, like these moments of rage for myself. And I knew that that was absolutely not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted my relationships with my kids to look like. That's not the mom I wanted to be. And so I absolutely had to figure out what it was that was missing for me in understanding that, in understanding, what I needed to do to be the mom I wanted to be. But first I had to understand who that mom was and understand what kinds of things she was doing. And she wasn't multitasking the way I was trying to multitask. She wasn't trying to accomplish, her network marketing work while the kids were trying to get ready for school and then be hollering at them because can't they just give me 5 minutes of peace to do this?
Right.
And having to understand that, have that awareness that yelling was my release, understanding the why I was yelling, that it wasn't my kids. My kids didn't, want to be, acting in a way that was going to cause me to yell. But in my mind, they just weren't meeting my expectation in the moment. And my solution was to yell.
Sure.
Expectations that they were not aware you were setting on their
Absolutely.
behalf.
No, absolutely not. Right. But
Yeah.
then learning how to be proactive about that, and not in them understanding my expectations, but in me understanding how I needed to show up to not be the mom who yelled, how I needed to show up to set myself up for success, to have the relationship that I wanted with my kids, to identify those triggers, knowing that multitasking was not serving me well, and that I had to do a much better job of blocking time, specific time, and being intentional about that time. And that when we're getting ready for school, we're getting ready to go out the door, that was my time to be focused on my kids. Not for me to be trying to get 600 other things done so that I could feel productive, right? We all want to feel productive. We always want to check all the things off of our lists. But that's not what was most important to me. Checking those things off the list was not high on my priority list. It was having a quality relationship with my kids, having my kids feel that unconditional love for me from me in a really true and real way in those moments of the day. That's what was most important.
Yeah, you said so many things that I think our listeners can just resonate with, because so many moms, I mean, I was there. My kids are grown now, so I don't have all of the getting ready for school things. But those moments, I mean, you just feel you've got all of your to-dos and you're like, my kids become a to-do, right?
Yeah.
Instead of a, a relationship, they become an object. I got to just get the kids from here to here and check it off my list. Whether I have a meaningful interaction during that check off the box is optional, right? That's where we just get the job done.
Yes.
Um, and it is that awareness, because I think so much of what we don't know how we can change is we don't believe that we don't know it's a problem because it's so habitual, right? It's
Right.
just this must be how I have to roll. I just have to suffer to get the kids so I can check the box. Like it becomes that. And you're saying with your with you hiring your own life coach, you got the support, the tools, the necessary um, pieces to change first and foremost what you were thinking about that to do, right?
Mhm,
That I
exactly.
got, and because of that, I mean, I want to plug in here. I think what I have valued, one of the things I have valued in having a coach is really like that support. Like, you're not going to always get that from your friend. You say, oh, I really struggled this morning to get the kids, in the car and on the way. And they're like, oh yeah, well, I got, and they got the worst story to tell you. And it's like commiserating, and
Yes.
that has its place, but that doesn't promote change. That doesn't promote improved relationships and wellness, because at the end of the day, it's people and our relationships, and what's really important, right? I mean, if we boil it down to just getting them to school and we don't build that, we're going to be the ones that are left empty in our souls.
You're exactly right.
So
Exactly.
that power of having someone in your corner, having someone that's gonna shake your shoulders and say, hey, like, let's, not shame you, blame you, not judge you, because that's the other aspect that I think is so prevalent in relationships is, maybe I shared my struggles with X, Y, and Z, and then I feel worse, right? Like I felt worse in being vulnerable because now, like, she knows, and she's got her perfect world all rolling just wonderfully. So that
Uh-huh.
coach is that neutral wisdom that can give you that objective insights to what you're struggling with, but in that safe environment where you're not going to feel like, you have to prove anything. You can just show up and be you and have that love and acceptance, but not stay there, right? She's going to shake you and say, you have these little tweaks of how you can think about that challenging situation and go for it. Put that into
Absolutely.
practice.
Absolutely. You, as a life coach, you're able to provide that unbiased opinion for them too. We get into that a lot when we're
Yeah.
commiserating with our friends. They have their own perceptions already based on having more of a history, but you get into this non-judgmental, unbiased look at things, and your coach is able to really kind of hold up the mirror for you and kind of move that mirror around so that you're able to see things from different perspectives and really able to stop and think about your circumstances, the situations you're being faced with in new and different ways. And sometimes that is what makes all the difference in knowing that not just that there's possibility for change, but that there's probability when you can step back and be able to see it from a new perspective and understand how that can help you move forward towards or in the direction of whatever your goal or your vision for your life is, what your dream is ahead of you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, Lauren, this has been so, so good. And I know our listeners are going to want to connect with you. So, what would be the easiest way for them to connect with you if they want to learn more about what you do and what you offer as far as that life coach piece, um, give us those infos.
Absolutely. Well, I think the easiest way for them to get in touch with me is to just find me on Instagram. It's at Lauren Dieckmann. I'm sure you all will pop that in the show notes. And
Yep.
from there, check out the link in my bio and you can see what kinds of things I have to offer, how to get in touch with me. If you'd be interested in talking a little bit further or exploring your own future dreams and things as you wake up with these ladies, I would love to chat.
Awesome, awesome. Well, again, Lauren, thank you so much. This has been delightful. I know when we were together physically, it was like, these are my people. I
Yes.
just adored getting the chance to meet you in person. So, listeners, be sure to think. You do not have to stay in autopilot. You don't have to feel like you're surviving the day. There are better and good options out there. And that's exactly what a life coach helps you with. So, until next time, we want to encourage you to dream with your eyes wide open, to start thinking about what you want and what you truly desire your life to be, because it truly is powerful when you wake up and dream. Until next time.